The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, is getting some pushback over some of his new draconian rules when it comes to press access at the Pentagon. You could say that he's having a bit of a war with the press. Now, on Friday, Hegseth had demanded that reporters sign a new in-brief for media members agreement, or by Tuesday, surrender their access to the Pentagon. So what is this in-brief order for media members? Basically, it it forbids journalists from soliciting tips, photographing, or even sketching what they might see inside the building. Now, that is, of course, a huge limit on the freedom of the press here, which is it's problematic. Now, the policy only allows for Department of War approved information to be obtained by journalists, which would effectively turn them into stenographers, which is something, of course, they usually end up being anyway, but now it's official, right? Now it's official, and I'll explain that a little bit later. This change, however, has networks that are not happy about it, okay? For example, some of them, Washington Post, CNN, Guardian, the New York Times, and even several other defense outlets have refused to sign on to Hegseth's policy. You even have Fox News. Fox News, Hegseth's former bosses that are like, no, we're not going along with this. It's not just that. Newsmax, even Newsmax said, no, we're not signing this crap. In fact, the first outlet to sign on was actually One America News. Yeah, One America News Network. So there you go. They're basically admitting, yeah, of course we do propaganda here. Oh yeah, One America News. We are all about that propaganda, baby. I mean, and I'm not saying that the others don't do it. It's just, on this, apparently, bridge too far. Look, even the Pentagon Press Association condemned the policy, okay? Saying, this Wednesday, most Pentagon Press Association members seem likely to hand over their badges rather than acknowledge a policy that gags Pentagon employees and threatens retaliation against reporters who seek out information that has not been pre-approved for release. Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell, of course, dismissed the concerns and calling this a full-blown meltdown in a statement to Status, and insisted that this policy is, quote, what's best for our troops and the national security of this country. No, it's not. When has our national security been affected by Pentagon leaks? Okay? Or just, a journalist getting a tip from the Pentagon. Okay? I mean, insane. You know what would be better for national security? Keeping Pete Hegseth away from any signal chats. That would help. And what would help even more is just getting rid of Pete Hegseth. The man is not qualified to serve in that role whatsoever. This man is obsessed with leaks, okay? Obsessed with leakers. Even though the biggest leaks here came from him in private signal chats. And, speaking of other leaks, his liver is probably leaking too, from all the booze. But anyway, here's the interesting thing here. The most interesting thing here is obviously these are not all liberal outlets. In fact, the Washington Post is proudly a conservative paper now. Okay, that's according to Washington Post columnist Mark Thiessen, I believe, who had bragged that the newspaper's opinion section was now thoroughly conservative after Trump had publicly praised his most recent op-ed. Not only that, but owner Jeff Bezos had already said last year that we're going to be writing every day in support and defense of two pillars: personal liberties and free markets. Oh boy. We'll cover other topics too, of course, but viewpoints opposing those pillars will be left to be published by others. So, making it official that, yeah, Washington Post, conservative. As if we didn't already kind of figure that out. But anyway, the same night he announced that, by the way, Bezos was having dinner with Donald Trump. Yes, they're conservative. They're conservative. Obviously, Newsmax, conservative. CBS News, which is owned by the Ellisons, Larry and David. David's running it, I believe. They're huge Trump supporters. Fox News, obviously. All of them are against this, except for One American News. Okay. Very interesting development here in this war against the press. Okay. Now, let me get to why I think this is happening. Look, part of this is because of the way supposed leaks had happened in the past. So what do I mean by that? Well, the Pentagon leadership wanted to, for example, in certain things, present a narrative. And what better way to do that than to leak these narratives or these scoops that are actually Pentagon approved, but people don't want to, the people in charge don't want everyone to know that. So it gets leaked to a reporter, okay? They would direct that leak. And then, of course, it would get out there, and it would obviously make it look like the Pentagon didn't want that to come out, even though they did. They like stuff about, Iraq or whatever, their leadership, or Iran, okay? And so, so we got a leak that there's something going on with Iran that may mean that we have to bomb them or something. This directive, however, ends that system. That's one of the reasons that it's getting absolutely hammered by the press, who like them scoops. Okay, they really like getting them scoops, from the Pentagon. That to me really kind of explains why even conservative pro-Trump outlets are coming out against this change. And so, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of them are principled, supporters of the First Amendment and the freedom of the press. Okay, great. It doesn't matter to me, really, as long as you are standing up for the First Amendment and for press freedom. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.